Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. The season has concluded and we're now entering the postseason. We finished this year at 72-90, which isn't great, but it's a much bigger improvement from years past. I think actually we did 9 games better. We lost 99 games last year. But we're also not last in our division for the first time in quite some time. In fact, if you look here, we aren't even the worst team. A little drop back from middle of the pack, but I wasn't trying my hardest to win the most games in September. We were focusing more on establishing our players moving forward to next year. Let's take a look and see. And also, not much happened over the course of September and October. September 29th, right-handed pitcher Danny Vasquez wins the Dominican Summer League Reliever of the Year. I believe I already have him in Arizona. And then October 5th, just yesterday, the Stockton Ports win the 2026 California Championship, their first since I took over the organization. And that's it for the news. Just not much has happened since the start of September. As you can see here, offensively, we finished tied for 9th in scoring, so we're getting runs across the board. But of course, as soon as we started scoring some runs, we just can't pitch. The ERA has been our pitching has been pretty terrible all year. Defense hasn't really been that good either, which is a little surprising considering that I've been purposely putting guys in that are good at those specific positions. So kind of a little perplexed by that. Let's take a look at our pitching and how we finished. Chris Paddock finished the year with a 4.63 ERA. Didn't do quite as well for me as I would hope for somebody that was getting paid $20 million. I still would like to bring him back just because he would still be our best pitcher no matter what. It's just a little disconcerting to see that he didn't play for me quite as well as he should have. He was he's pretty much below average with me, even though it's a really good rating. His rating suggests he should have been better. Or maybe he's not that good. Who knows? Ryan Johnson, on the other hand, what a disappointment. Came into the year as my number 1 starting pitcher, who had an overall of 50 and a potential of 65. And as you can see here, he's now dropped all the way down to 45, and he's kind of been playing like that for most of the rest of the month. It's been really disappointing. I had really high hopes considering that I picked him 2nd round overall. I mean, it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter who you draft, where you draft them. The game is going to be fairly random with their development. Because he was a second round pick in a strong draft. And obviously I'm not picking guys below average overall wise to be in the 2nd round, so disappointed there. Does he still have room on the team? Absolutely. Is he ever going to be a star? Probably not. In fact, his best position at this point would be just to become a long reliever. Would he? Yeah, he would be better off just becoming a reliever at this point. But we'll still need him to start. He's still young. Maybe it'll change, but I don't know. It's just disappointing to see how much he has dropped since the start of the year. And then Braxton Ashcraft actually ended up being pretty good once he settled in. Despite the losses, of course, the earned runs average. Like I said, it was a rough month for our pitching staff. But he looks like he's settled in and could be in line to start for us next year, depending how things go. He actually ended up playing better for me. Oh, no, a little worse for him, but he played less innings. But I think he's a solid. It's a pretty good trade, in my opinion. As you can see, it's already got a game and a half of WAR. His WAR is 1.5 with me, which is pretty good. There's Ken Waldachek, just kind of steadily just clinging on to a job. He's doing just good enough to hang on to a job with us. Nothing over exciting. And JP Sears, as usual, finishes in the 4s, like he has for the last, I think, 4 straight years now. Where's his ERA? Yeah, 4.5, 4.5, 4.3, and then his worst so far at 4.9. And he's not getting younger, so don't expect it to get much better. But a very consistent pitcher, as you can see. I guess that's one thing we can say he is. He's very consistent. What else do we have here? The bullpen. Devin Williams, I don't know what happened to him. He just blew up in the last month. If you look at this, not a single game where he didn't give up an earned run, including 5 in this one. His ERA's in the 5s. Yeah, I'm really confused at what happened here. How he fell off so much in just a month's worth of time. As you can see, his ERA with me was 9.14 in 21.2 innings compared to 2.67 with LA. So I'm not really sure what happened. He's got a high adaptability. So it's just really, really odd of what happened here. I can't put my finger on it because I don't know. The rest of the guys are fairly solid, well, except for Holdman and Quinn. Quinn's a rookie, so most of the bullpen should be intact for next year. Tanner Scott finally settled back in. It looked really good towards the end of the month. So hopefully he can. You can see it's a really solid ERA of 2.34. Despite some struggles, kind of midway in this season. But as you can see, he's on fire. He's been on fire, and of course, Devin Williams, slump of all slumps, really confusing. But overall, the bullpen is looking pretty good. I think next year with a healthier bullpen, we do get Mason Miller back, so that will be nice. Look at the injured list. Oh, I could add Blake Walston back. Mason Miller, even though he's out for 7 more months, I know his stuff has dropped, but that's because he's been injured for nearly 2 years now. Let's take a look at our lineup and how we finished here in this area. Of course, Jacob Wilson, he did have a little minor cold streak, but his average still finished at 308, so above average or above 300 average, which is excellent. We got him nearly an above average defender at third. It was pretty close. We got him to 50, but we can work on that in the spring training and get it up a little bit higher. So that will just add more flexibility to him. But overall, really solid numbers. What is this? Led the league in stolen bases this year. 88 stolen bases, 12 home runs, bats over 300. Plays really good defense. Certainly a lock for Rookie of the Year. If not, I would like to know who is. Carson Kelly. He put on quite a show to end the year. Still probably not bringing him back, mainly because I got plenty of guys I can replace him with. Unless he comes in on a fairly cheap contract, then that will be different. Then it gets a little risky when you start signing guys at 34, 33 years old. JJ Bleday, solid all season long. Finished the year with 23 home runs, 34 stolen bases. Did get a little cold, as you see his average is back down to like 235, so he did slow down toward the end of the year. But still, I think solid enough to keep around and keep in our lineup. Carlos Franco, rather a surprise. I would say he still did pretty well. I mean, it's a small sample size, so it's hard to tell for sure. But it looks like he may be pretty good. And he's a good enough defender that he can certainly be a backup or split time with Carson Kelly or whoever else I'll bring in for catcher. Of course, Shea Langoliers as well. Can't forget about him. Tyler Soderstrom finished strong. Finished a pretty good year. 26 home runs, batted 250. That's kind of what I'm going to be hoping we get more with him. I would like to see a few, like 30 home run range, but looks like he could still improve with his hitting skills, which is fine. It just makes him more consistent. because every now and then he does become a little streaky. Matt McClain, what a year he's had. I think he definitely did drop down a lot more. At one point, he was really hot with me. He was hitting a home run almost every other time I turned around. I think he can improve. If he can get that avoid Ks up a little higher, it should make him less streaky, because he can become streaky with that strikeout and power. So he's going to strike out or hit a home run. I'd like to have a little more consistency, get on base a little more, use those wheels, and steal some bases for us. A guy that I was hoping would do better was Max Muncy. He kind of struggled all season long. It says his potential is supposed to be 80. I hope it becomes 80, because he's really good, or he can be really good according to what I see here. It's not quite yet producing on the field. Hopefully next year that will be different, because these guys can help me reach our first playoff, possibly. Speaking of playoffs, you can kind of see what the standings look like. New York wins the East, Cleveland wins the Central, Texas wins our division. Now in the NL is Atlanta, St. Louis, and Arizona. Of course, the wild cards is Baltimore, Boston, and Houston. We almost knocked Houston out of the playoffs. So close. If we won the last game, if we won that second to last game, which we lost by a run in extra innings, we could have knocked them out of the playoffs and played some spoiler. And in the NL, you got Los Angeles, Chicago, and Pittsburgh as their playoff teams. Wild cards. And there's the playoff tree. And so that's hopefully one of these days that will be us in the playoffs. So the Yankees and the Guardians with the bye, and then the Red Sox versus the Orioles, Houston versus Texas, and Atlanta can still become 3-time champions. 3 in a row. They won the last 2. Chicago and the Dodgers, Pittsburgh Pirates and Braves, then Diamondbacks and the Cardinals with the bye. So that's it for this video. The next one will be the postseason coverage.